Hermes, the Greek god, was one of the 12 Olympians in Greek mythology, known as the messenger of the gods and the patron of various domains like trade, travel, and even thievery and soul guide. He was also considered a divine trickster, often portrayed with winged sandals or winged hat and a caduceus staff. Hermes was the son of Zeus and the Pleiad nymph Maia. She was the eldest and shyest of the Pleiades, the 7 star nymph daughters of Atlas and Pleione. She lived a solitary life in a secluded cave on Mount Cyllene in Arcadia, far from the gaze of gods and mortals. She was known for her modesty, quiet beauty, and avoidance of divine drama. The myth of Zeus and Maia is one of the quieter and less scandalous tales among Zeus's many liaisons. Considered to be the most beautiful of the Pleiades, Maia was quiet and shy. So unlike Zeus's other unions, his encounter with Maia was secretive. Some accounts state that Zeus laid with her whilst she slept, implying Maia did not consent to the union. Thus, Hermes' birth was secretive and swift. In the land of Arcadia, beneath the gaze of Mount Cyllene, a remarkable child was born, Hermes, son of Zeus and Maia. And from the moment he drew breath, it was clear he would be no ordinary god. On the very day of his birth, Hermes wriggled free from his swaddling cloth and crept out of the cave into the bright world beyond. What mischief could such a young god possibly seek? As it turns out, cattle. Hermes came upon a herd of sacred cattle belonging to his older half-brother, Apollo. With clever cunning, Hermes reversed the hooves of the animals to confuse their tracks and led them away, hiding them deep in a grotto. While he was stealing the cattle, he was seen by an old man tending his vines. Hermes promised him that nothing of his would be harmed if he remained silent, and then went on his way. Hermes slaughtered a few cows. He took their entrails and a tortoise shell to create something entirely new, the first lyre. Its sound was unlike anything the world had known, a gentle, divine harmony that shimmered like sunlight on water. When Apollo discovered the theft, he came upon the old man tilling his flowering vineyard and asked what he had seen. The old man explained that he was minding his own business when he saw a curious thing. Whoever the child was that followed long-horned cattle, an infant who had a staff and kept walking from side to side, he was driving them backwards way with their heads towards him. In that moment, Apollo realized the child's identity through his gift of prophecy. Apollo was furious and confronted the young trickster. Apollo said, "Child, lying in the cradle, make haste and tell me of my cattle, or we two will soon fall out angrily, for I will take and cast you into dusky Tartarus and awful hopeless darkness, and neither your mother nor your father shall free you or bring you up again to the light. But you will wander under the earth and be the leader amongst little folk." Hermes denied the theft and said, "Son of Leto, what harsh words are these you have spoken? And is it cattle of the field you are come here to seek? I have not seen them, I have not heard of them, no one has told me of them. I cannot give news of them, nor win the reward for news." Hermes' denial infuriated Apollo, who demanded justice from their father Zeus. Again, Hermes denied the theft, and although amused, Zeus insisted he show Apollo the location of the cattle, which he eventually agreed to do. When they arrived, Apollo noticed that 2 of the cows had been slaughtered, which further angered him. But Hermes, ever the charmer, played the lyre and filled the air with music so beautiful that Apollo's anger melted like snow under the spring sun. Impressed, Apollo accepted the lyre as a gift. In return, he allowed Hermes to keep the cattle and granted him the position of divine herdsman. He also gifted Hermes the caduceus, or herald's wand, as a symbol of his new role. Apollo made Hermes swear up on the river Styx that he will not steal from him again, and Zeus was happy that his two sons became friends. From that day on, Apollo became the god of music and prophecy, often depicted with the lyre in hand, while Hermes was remembered as the inventor of the instrument, the patron of wit and invention, and the god who could talk his way out of anything. In later versions, Apollo himself is credited with inventing the lyre. The name Hermes is most likely derived from the Greek word herma, meaning a stone heap or cairn, a fitting origin for a god associated with roads, boundaries, and waymarks. Hermes' name appears early in the historical record. In the Mycenaean era, he is attested in Linear B tablets as Hermahas, showing that his worship predates the classical Greek period by centuries. Hermes was known by many epithets, each reflecting a different aspect of his complex nature. One of his most important titles was Psychopompos, meaning guide of souls, as he escorted the dead safely to the underworld. Another was Arge Fontes, slayer of Argus, referring to the tale where Hermes killed Argus Panoptes, the 100-eyed guardian sent by Hera. As the god of trickery and theft, he also bore the epithet Dolios, meaning the cunning one. In mythology, Pan was believed to be the descendant of Hermes, naming Pan as Hermes' son. Cross-cultural comparisons also linked him with other messenger deities. Thoth in Egypt, Mercury in Rome, and even Hermodr, the swift-footed messenger of the Norse gods and son of Odin. Hermes possibly had pre-Greek origins, with some scholars proposing that he evolved from or shares characteristics with earlier pagan deities. He has been compared to the Mesopotamian god Ningishzida, a guardian of the underworld and god of fertility and healing, often depicted with serpents, a symbol later echoed in Hermes' caduceus. Hermes also bears striking similarities to the Egyptian god Thoth, who presided over writing, wisdom, and served as a divine messenger, much like Hermes in Greek tradition. As a deity, Hermes symbolized movement, liminality, and transition, serving as a guide not only for souls but for travelers and messages. He also held the role of leader of the Graces, Charities, and the nymphs, divine spirits of joy, beauty, and natural vitality. Through these associations, Hermes became a unique figure who bridged the realms of the wild and the cultivated, the mortal and the divine, and the seen and unseen. He appears either clean-shaven or with a short beard, depending on the period of the art or the story being told. He is usually dressed in a short chiton or traveller's cloak, suitable for movement. Sometimes, especially in later art, he is shown with a youthful and almost androgynous beauty. Among all the gods Hermes is said to have loved, his most renowned and passionate affair was with none other than Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty herself. According to legend, Hermes long desired Aphrodite, but she was elusive and not easily won. In one playful version of the myth, Hermes stole one of Aphrodite's golden sandals and lured her into seeking him out. When she found him and reclaimed her sandal, passion followed. From their union, a child was born, Hermaphroditos. Though Hermes is best known as the fleet-footed messenger and divine trickster, his reach extended into the deepest mysteries of the ancient world, including the shadowy realms of the underworld and magic. In one esoteric tradition, Hermes is linked to the goddess Brimo, a title often associated with Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, crossroads, and night terrors. Brimo, meaning the terrifying one, was venerated in the Eleusinian mysteries, and invoked in underworld rites, representing a dark, chthonic force. In some versions of the myth, Hermes is said to have united with Brimo or Hecate in a sacred and symbolic union, reinforcing his role as Psychopompos, the guide of souls between the worlds of the living and the dead. This underworld connection deepens in tales involving Deira, another mysterious underworld figure, sometimes considered an aspect of Persephone or Hecate, or an attendant of Demeter. In some Orphic and Eleusinian fragments, Hermes and Deira are said to have had a daughter named Eleusis, a divine figure tied to the founding of the sacred rites at Eleusis, the sanctuary of the Demeter and Persephone cult. In one lesser-known tale, Hermes shared a brief union with Pytho, the goddess of persuasion and seduction. Hermes, ever the charmer, partnered with the Oreiades, mountain nymphs who were said to have mated with Hermes repeatedly, giving rise to more of their kind. These unions emphasized his deep connection with wild, untamed places and the spirits who dwelled there. The nymphs associated with Hermes included Tanagra, Carmentis, Clytie, Soze, Penelopeia, Okyra, and Rhene. As a god of boundaries, movement, and transformation, Hermes naturally fathered a diverse range of children, both mortal and immortal. Let's explore some of his immortal children, who carried forward his divine influence. Pan is Hermes's most famous child, the wild, goat-legged god of shepherds, hunters, and rustic music. Pan perfectly reflects Hermes's untamed and free-spirited essence. Hermes may have also fathered Agreus and Nomios, two rustic demons closely associated with Pan. Agreus, whose mother was the prophetess Sose, was a demon of the hunt. Nomios, born of Penelopeia, was a spirit of pastures and flocks. Another child, Phorbas, is sometimes listed as a demon of grazing animals, reinforcing Hermes's pastoral connections. Hermaphroditos, the child of Hermes and Aphrodite, representing the union of male and female. He was also counted among the Erotes, divine attendants of love and desire. Priapos is occasionally said to be Hermes's son, though more often linked to Dionysus and Aphrodite. Hermes fathered three satyrs known as the Hermades, Lycos, Pronomos, and Pherespondos, with the Dorian princess Iphthime. These mischievous spirits served as messengers to Dionysus, echoing their father's role as divine herald. Eleusis, a demi-goddess and local protector of the sacred town of Eleusis, was said to be the daughter of Hermes and Deiera. She is closely associated with the Eleusinian mysteries, the sacred rites of Demeter and Persephone. Hermes also fathered Angelia, a female spirit of messages and tidings, and Palaestra, the daemoness of wrestling. Like many Olympian gods, Hermes fathered a remarkable number of mortal children. His most famous mortal child is possibly Orion, the great celestial hunter immortalized among the stars. Though many traditions name Poseidon as Orion's father, a unique Boeotian myth claims he was born through a strange ritual. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hermes urinated on an ox hide and buried it in the earth, from which Orion emerged. This bizarre origin reflects Orion's colossal and otherworldly nature. Another celebrated son of Hermes was Autolycus, born to Chione on the same day she lay with both Hermes and Apollo. Autolycus inherited his father's thieving talent and magical skill. He could make stolen items unrecognizable, even changing their form. Through his daughters, Anticlea, mother of Odysseus, and Polymede, mother of Jason, Hermes became the divine ancestor of two of the most famous heroes in Greek mythology. Hermes was also the father of Myrtilos, a charioteer betrayed by Pelops. As he lay dying, Myrtilos cursed Pelops, setting in motion the doomed legacy of the House of Atreus, one of the most tragic family lines in myth. Hermes fathered many other mortal children across the Greek world. While Hermes was known for his wit and trickery, he was also a generous and protective deity, a divine benefactor of mortals. As the god of hospitality, travelers, and heralds, he extended his favor to many across myth, often rewarding kindness or inspiring greatness. One such example is Hermes, a hospitable man who welcomed Zeus, Poseidon, and Hermes into his home without knowing their divine identities. So moved were the gods by his generosity, they chose to grant him his deepest wish: a son. The child they gifted him was none other than Orion, the legendary celestial hunter. Hermes once aided the Oceanid nymph Nephele by sending her a golden-winged ram named Chrysalis to rescue her children from their father Athamas and his second wife, Ino. In Greek mythology, there are two figures named Nephele. One is the cloud nymph, fashioned by Zeus to resemble Hera and ensnare Ixion, while the other is an Oceanid, a sea nymph, who became the first wife of Athamas, king of Orchomenus, in Boeotia. In the mist-wrapped hills of Boeotia, where the clouds drift low and the wind speaks in whispers, there once lived a nymph named Nephele, born of the Titan god of the sea, Oceanus, and his wife, Tethys. She was the first wife of King Athamas of Orchomenus, and together they had two children, Phrixus and Helle. For a time, the kingdom prospered beneath her gentle grace. But mortal hearts are fickle things. Athamas turned away from Nephele and took another wife, Ino, daughter of Cadmus. Her beauty was sharp as envy, and her heart darker still. When Nephele departed in sorrow, the skies wept with her. Drought and famine gripped the land, yet Ino's jealousy burned fiercer than the sun. She whispered deceit into Athamas' ear, that only the blood of Phrixus could save his people. Desperate and deceived, Athamas prepared to sacrifice his own son. But before the blade could fall, the air shimmered, and Hermes appeared, swift and radiant, bearing a gift from the gods. From the clouds descended a winged ram with a fleece of gold, its eyes gleaming with divine fire. It was Chrysalis, born of Poseidon and the nymph Theophane, a creature of both sea and sky, as the ram reached its destination and stood beside them. Nephele's spirit whispered to her children, "Climb upon the ram and flee." The siblings obeyed, clinging to its golden wool as it soared above the mountains and over the deep blue sea. But fate is not always kind. As they passed over a narrow strait, Helle slipped from her brother's grasp and fell into the waves below. The sea took her name forever, the Hellespont. The ram's wings beat onward, carrying Phrixus to the distant land of Colchis, on the edge of the world. There he was welcomed by King Aeetes, son of the sun god Helios. To honor the gods, Phrixus sacrificed the divine ram, returning it to its father Poseidon, and hung the golden fleece upon an oak in a sacred grove of Ares, guarded by a sleepless dragon whose scales glimmered like bronze. So the ram was set among the stars as the constellation Ares, and the fleece it left behind became a treasure that would one day summon Jason and the Argonauts to their perilous quest. From sorrow and flight was born a legend, a golden thread woven through the fabric of Greek myth. Hermes was a worshipped god in both public and personal settings across the Greek world, including his reputed birthplace, Mount Kyllene, in Arcadia. As the protector of travelers, statues known as Hermes stone pillars, featuring Hermes' head, were placed along roadsides, at crossroads, and in courtyards or public squares to bring protection and good fortune. These markers weren't merely decorative, They were regarded as sacred embodiments of the god himself. Damaging or defacing a Herm was seen as a grave offence, believed to invite misfortune or divine punishment. Specific city-states like Athens, Corinth, and Argos also had dedicated cults to him. Additionally, Hermes was honoured in sanctuaries of the 12 gods, like the one in Olympia, and in gyms and athletic areas where he was seen as a patron of sport. Festivals like the Maia, held in his honour, were celebrated in various Greek cities, particularly in Athens and in gymnasiums. It honoured Hermes as the patron of youth, athletics, and competition. A similar festival called the Hermoia was held in Crete, a more rustic festival with athletic games and offerings. The offerings given to the god was typically honey, cakes, incense, olive oil, and ram sacrifices. Travellers and merchants might leave tokens or prayers at roadside altars or Hermes. Mystical worship was held. In the Orphic and Hermetic traditions, Hermes was viewed as a guide of souls and revealer of secret wisdom. He was honoured not just as a god of messages, but as a spiritual teacher and intermediary between divine and mortal realms. Hermes' sacred symbols were the Kerykeion caduceus, the talaria winged sandals, and the petazos, as well as the purse or money bag. His sacred animals were the tortoise, ram or sheep, hare, rooster, hawk, and serpent. Plants sacred to Hermes were the strawberry tree and the crocus flower. Linked through the myth of Crocus, a youth loved by Hermes. Upon his death, Hermes turned him into the crocus flower. Mastic and myrrh were associated with Hermes in magical or medicinal contexts, especially in Hermetic or alchemical traditions. Through his roles as guide, herald, and father, Hermes becomes more than a clever trickster. He is a spiritual link between worlds, a divine escort through darkness and transformation. In the Eleusinian mysteries, his influence lingers at the thresholds, between life and death, ignorance and initiation. Whether retrieving Persephone, leading souls, or bestowing sacred lineage, Hermes ensures that what is hidden may be revealed, and what is lost may one day return. His presence reminds us that every journey, mystical or mortal, requires a guide who knows the way. Until next time, may Hermes look up on you with favour. Please subscribe, share our video, like and comment. Thank you for watching.